video technologies, video communications. The reason why I want to give you a few statistics about this company, just to put in perspective what the startup can achieve. Zoom is only a 6 years old company, started by a Chinese entrepreneur. He could not get visa to go to US for 7 attempts he had to make. And after that, he landed in US finally and started this Zoom communications company in the year 13-14. Initially, everybody sort of told him that you're not going to be successful. How will you compete with Skype? At that time, all over the world, and all of us also use Skype as a video communication methodology. But he persisted and he created some unique features in the Zoom app, which were not there in Skype or FaceTime or even WhatsApp and other people. So that's how he became successful. And when his IPO was done in 2014, the value of the company was $50 million. Okay, that's a large sum of money for Indians, but $50 million in an IPO is a really, really small SME kind of company in the United States. In January 2020, which is this year when it began, the value of the company had risen to $16 billion, which is 640 times. That means if you invested $1 in 2014, you got $640 in January 2020, this year. And that's not where the story ends. In April 2020, after the COVID problem started, Zoom was initially designed as a business application, video application. It started getting used even for personal communication, for families to interact with each other, for friends to interact with each other, and so on and so forth. And the valuation of the company went to $40 billion. Just to put it in perspective, what does $40 billion mean? We keep hearing about these $1 billion figures. Today, if you have to value paper business of ITC, PSPD, I would say it may be $2.5 billion. So here is a 6-year-old company whose valuation is almost 15-20 times more than PSPD business, which is almost 40 years old. ITC's market valuation today is $30 billion. It has come down. It was around $40 billion. It's come down to $30 billion. So Zoom's valuation today is like that of ITC, which is a more than 100-year-old company. So why does this happen? Why does the value of these startups go up so high? It's all related to how many eyeballs they catch, how many people use this particular app. Today's world, Zoom application is being used by 200 million people on every day basis. That's not the download of app. The download of apps is far higher. On every day basis, 200 million people use Zoom application. Equivalent figure of WhatsApp is 300 million. And WhatsApp is about 10-12 years old companies. They're also a very successful startup. But I'm particularly mentioning Zoom because we are using the Zoom app today. And the turnover of Zoom is only $600 million, which is roughly 4,500 crores, which is the same as PSPD turnover. So with the same turnover, PSPD gets a valuation of $3.5 billion, and this company gets a valuation of $40 billion. So that's really the power of technology. What kind of application they have created, which 200 million people as of now are using, and it is predicted that in a year and a half's time, it may go to 1 billion users on a per day basis. So when they start monetizing this kind of platform, let's say they put an advertisement which can reach 200 million or 300 million people. Just imagine what kind of charges they can put on the advertisers. So I thought I'll begin with this just to share with you example of a successful startup, which is Zoom video communication. There are, of course, many issues also with their app, not that everything is hunky-dory. Some people feel that it is not a safe app, but it was a courageous CEO who came forward and said, yes, there is a problem in our app and we are going to fix it. So that's the story of Zoom. Coming back to myself, why has Surya asked me to conduct this session on startups? As he mentioned, after I retired from ITC, I was toying with the idea, what should I be doing? Normally people do consulting. Now consulting, who gives you the consulting assignment? They will be the competition of the company with which you worked before. So I didn't want to do that at any cost. Having worked for ITC for almost 38, 39 years, I didn't want to do any consulting work for somebody who will ultimately or eventually compete with ITC. So I was searching around for an avenue for myself, and I found that in the startup community of Hyderabad. By that time, Bangalore, Bombay, Gurgaon had got established as startup sort of Bangalore as capital, and other two are also very developed places as far as startup ecosystem is concerned. But Hyderabad was just about developing that startup ecosystem. The new government at that time, TRS, had taken the pet project of KTR, the T Hub, to encourage entrepreneurs come to Hyderabad. And I sort of took a liking for that kind of activity. I call it entrepreneurship development. So I took on my post-retirement activity as entrepreneurship development, and whatever forum was available for doing that, I joined those forums. So as Surya mentioned, Hyderabad Angel, which is the angel network who actually do investments in the company. I'm also a charter member of the organization TIE. It's called The Indus Entrepreneurs. Short form is TIE. This is purely kind of a social organization. They support entrepreneurship. We have a very favorite saying there, we pay money there to advise you. Normally when you advise, you get money. But TIE is an organization where we contribute money from our own pockets and then make our free services available to the entrepreneurs for mentoring them, for taking them to the next scale, for arranging to meet them with the funding agencies, so on and so forth. And my latest activity in the startup world is related to green entrepreneurship. I run a Green Entrepreneurship Council for CII Green Business Center, which is meant to promote entrepreneurship in green businesses. So far, not too much of funding is coming into this area. The startups also don't want to enter the clean technology or green businesses because it takes much longer for getting payback. So our idea is to promote this kind of entrepreneurship because that's a problem which is staring at us, the global warming problem, climate change problem. So that's my latest activity. So that's how I'm sort of totally now immersed into the startup ecosystem of Hyderabad. I've chosen food and agriculture as the area sectors where I actually mentor, spend time with the startups and help them to scale up. That is something which I learned in ITC, and I find enormous opportunity there because I wanted to do something whether startups become successful or not. I would wanted to sort of give back to society. What they are doing should contribute something to society. So health food area, agriculture area, irrespective of whether the startup is successful or not, the time which you are spending, somewhere it is going to benefit the society. So that's the area that I have selected. One of my first investments was in a skill development company, and I gave him a fairly large sum of money. And my interaction with him was, it is a digital platform to create training programs for skilled technicians, electricians, fitters, and that kind of technicians. But everything is done digitally on video conferencing, etc. So that kind of company. So I said, the money which I'm giving to you, if you train 1,000, if you skill 1,000 people and get them employment, that will give me a return on what money I have given to you. I don't want further return. Yes, your company becomes successful, you start paying dividends, your value goes up, that's all will give me extra satisfaction. But what is giving me more satisfaction is you are able to skill people and create jobs for them. So that's the kind of mentality which I started off with in this startup ecosystem. Now let's come to what is a startup particularly. Some of you have expressed interest. You may also consider at some stage in your life to become a startup. So from that point of view, I thought I'll cover the first subject, that what is a startup? Now, every new business starting is not a startup. It could be entrepreneur. It could be called entrepreneurship. It could be called a business venture, but it is not a startup. The reason being, there are certain attributes in the startup ecosystem which are required for you to be classified as startup, both in the government definition as well as what is prevalent in the US industry, Indian industry, now worldwide. If ITC decides to get into, let's say, soap business, which they did some time back, it is a new business venture within a corporate setup. But it is not a startup because it's got the might of company like ITC behind them. They've got so much of resources at their disposal. So it's not a standard startup kind of activity that they will undertake. So that is typically the startups are started by founders whose resources are very limited. Typically 1 or 2 founders, that's all. The company starts with just a couple of people who got an idea. They have to solve a particular problem. What is the problem that they are solving for society on one side? It could be in a B2B space. It could be for the other industries. Anything that it could be a health related problem. It could be a convenience related issue. So there has to be a problem for which they are providing a solution. And more importantly, that solution has to be unique. It cannot be easily replicable. That is the criteria that the startups have to apply when they start their business. The third important aspect is it has to be scalable. The problem you are solving is to be, affecting a large number of people, so that when a solution comes out, when your company starts growing, it is applicable, it is providing that solution to a very large number of people. So scalability is very, very important in a startup kind of an environment. Typically, they do not have financial resources with them to begin with. They depend on external source of funding for taking their activities forward. That is a characteristic of a startup. And therefore, they are always a resource crunch, and they are always looking to minimize their costs, to save money till they get the next round of funding. And so several rounds of funding are required before they stand on their own feet. So that's another feature of a startup. And last but not the least, and which is the most difficult one, is the uncertainty. Because you have identified a problem and you feel that you have the right solution for it. You have to establish it to the rest of the world, and particularly the investing community, that your solution is really unique. And if that does not happen, if that conviction does not happen in other people, both consumers and investors, then you die out. That uncertainty is of such a high level. The worldwide statistics for India, it could be even worse. The worldwide statistics says that out of 100 startups which start, 70 of them die in first 2 to 3 years. They just cease to exist. They are not able to manage beyond 2-3 years. About 20% take the next step. They get into operation, they start getting revenues. Some of them start getting a little bit of profit as well. But they remain at that stage. The entrepreneur himself may be a successful entrepreneur. He may create a business of 10 crores and makes 1 crore profit, and he happily lives ever after. But he never becomes a 100 crore or 1,000 crore kind of company. That's the 20%. And the 10% who become successful, who attract external funding, large numbers of funding that come their way, need not be profitable. We'll come to that next. But they do receive a large amount of funding, which puts the investors there, the founders there on a path, the founders there on a path of growth and the comforts of the life, etc. Less than 1% actually become what we call unicorn. Unicorn is a company whose value has crossed $1 billion. So it's less than 1% who actually capture that attention, that glamour which has come, that aura which has come around the word startup. It is only by that 1% of the people. More than 99% of the people are really not in that kind of comfort. So that's the kind of risk, that's the kind of uncertainty which the startups have to face. The word today, startup, has become glamorous, as I mentioned. In the lighter side, I heard from somebody the dowry value, the marriage market value of the youngsters is higher today for startups than for engineers and doctors, etc., etc. That's the kind of situation, but that's okay on the lighter side. In reality also, people who are passing out of very prestigious institutes like IITs and IIMs, they are opting out to become startups because there is a separate kind of thrill. One is the risks are higher, so there is a challenge, there is a thrill of working, and you're working for yourself, you're creating something for yourself. More importantly, you're solving a problem. So that kind of realization is coming among these people who are passing out of these top institutions. Barla posted some time back about Vinita Singh, who kind of rejected a 1 crore offer for salary. She was just out of IIM and she got an offer for 1 crore salary. She said, I don't want this. I'm going to start my own company. And she started a company which is selling cosmetics online. Now, today it sounds, very, very, why do you need another player to sell online? Most of the cosmetics are available on Amazon. But she created her niche. She deep rooted into the Indian sort of way, what kind of cosmetics are required by Indian ladies. She kind of specialized and created a niche for herself. And it's a 200 crore company today, just in about 4 or 5 years' time. So what I'm trying to say is even the government of India, Prime Minister Modi, are trying to encourage these kind of people who are highly educated, who are very, very talented, to get into the stream of startups. And that is how the Indian ecosystem will benefit from all this. And there is the Prime Minister says $5 trillion by 2025. Study carried out by NASSCOM is projecting $10 trillion by 2030. They are saying this is possible only if the startup ecosystem in India matures. And by that maturity means more funding has to come towards this startup community. I would like to give example of, just to illustrate what I mentioned, what are the characteristics of a startups. What is not a startup and what is a startup, For example, you want to start a modern dhaba. When we travel to Suryapet, we find this 7 something, I don't know what it is, 7 something, a relatively modern dhaba. It's a road. There are about 10 dhabas there, but there is a small, another kind of a restaurant there, which started serving all the modern kind of food, pizzas and burgers and stuff like that. They created some place for, children to come and play. So all the, middle class, upper middle class who are traveling there, because it's a lot more hygienic and a lot more, of course, has standard idli dosa as well. But so the model that was there, it became very popular, and the dhabas around started losing business. Now the debate is this a startup idea? Can this be scalable idea? Can you set up 1,000 such dhabas all over India? So the answer to my mind is no. Even though this was a successful enterprise and that guy is making good profit, every time you want to set up another dhaba like this, again you have to acquire land there, again you have to build the restaurant there, again you have to search for the cooks there. And the guy who is successful in doing it in Suryapet need not be successful in doing it outside Pune or outside Lucknow or somewhere. So it's still not a scalable model. It's a successful, good entrepreneurship business model. It's still not a startup kind of model where investors will come and give him millions of dollars to create more of these. I don't know. Maybe if he's got an idea where he innovates, bring its digital technology, where that scaling up does not require all the efforts which I am talking about, maybe through franchising model. I don't know what the solution is, but then it could qualify himself for becoming a startup. Another example I always give is that of Meru cabs. We found at some point of time, there were just about 2-3 years when we found Meru cabs and Sky cabs very, very convenient. I mean, it was at that time we felt it was a great innovation. Instead of going to a taxi stand and taking a taxi, taking you home, taking your family, putting your luggage in it, and then going to the airport, you telephone previous day and say 6 o'clock in the morning, I want to go to the airport, and the Meru cab is there for you. Similarly, when you land at the airport, to come and fix rates, no haggling, clean drivers, so on and so forth. But come Ola and Uber, this model kind of, rug was taken under their feet, because the technology which Uber and Ola employed was so much superior. On the call, when you want, within 5 minutes, within 10 minutes, the way you are going, your route is tracked. And a consumer actually would have paid the same amount which they would have paid to Meru cab. So they wanted a faster growth. So the charges they were putting up were even half what Meru cab was charging. So both technology intervention and business intervention, it's kind of sweep the market. So that's a uniqueness of a model which allows you to grow. The scalability is very, very high. And you go to every other city. Once you have that Uber or Ola kind of app with you, once you have developed that technology, whether you want to next enter Bombay or Delhi or Singapore or Tokyo or wherever, it doesn't matter. It's not going to cost you abnormally high amount of money. It's just going to cost you incremental amount of money to capture that large number of consumers. So that scalability becomes very important from the point of view of investors when it comes to startup ecosystem. I want to give you an example of a company in which I have a direct investment. The name of the company is Stellapse. Now, Stellapse is today, after about 5 years of operation, is an end-to-end platform, digital platform for managing dairy supply chain. Right from an individual farmer who's got 2-3 cows, the milk is sourced from there. It comes to milk collection center. The quality is checked there. And from the milk collection centers, it goes to dairy, the dairies process it, and then it goes to retail, and then it reaches all of us, or part of it goes to B2B. But this company didn't start at this point of this scale. It started only as developing IoT-based sensors. It was incubated in IIT Madras, and they developed sensors which, using the IoT technology, could kind of get the test results straight onto the internet. So quality of milk, whether you are testing fat content or whether you are testing moisture content or any other property of the milk, that's how they started. But then they realized that in the entire supply chain of dairy industry, there is so little automation. They started developing more and more of their IoT sensors. Now, today they have something like Fitbit meant for cows. So that device is on the body of the cow, which is monitoring the temperature of the cow. It is telling it what is the right time, whether the cow has got the correct feed, because the temperature varies every time the cow eats, what time the feed has gone, what is the right time for milking, and when the milk is collected, how much is collected. All that is through this Fitbit kind of a device, which is on the body of the. But more importantly, they created a platform where all this information which their IoT devices were getting get uploaded onto the cloud immediately. And all this information is available, or they can make it available to their client, which are dairies and large companies which are in milk kind of production, companies which are into cold storages where milk is stored for some time. All these elements of supply chain, they are able to provide information, and for which they are able to get their fees. So most of the large dairies have now come onto this platform. Having developed this platform today, they have queries coming in from Brazil and Argentina and countries like that, because the replication of that, and today language is no more a barrier. Converting from English language to Portuguese or Japanese is very easy. So the scalability of this to other countries is what the company is now working on. The company received $15 million, about 100 crores of funding 2-3 years back. That is the round in which I invested. So I always give the example of this company because it has improved a lot of the farmer beyond the limit. So farmer has realized if he gives quality milk, which is endorsed by this company, they get paid more. The dairy companies are willing to pay them more. So the lot of the farmer has improved. Convenience has come to the B2B section of the dairy industry as well. So I'm hoping this company over a period becomes Zoom, and my investment becomes 1,600 times like the Zoom investors have become over a period of next 6-7 years. So that a couple of examples I thought I'll give to share with you, how scalability is very, very important in a startup ecosystem. Now, if you want to go to this bandwagon, if you want to have your own startup, naturally the question comes then, where will the funding come from? So in the development of a startup, there are 5 different phases of, I mentioned, they are called funding rounds, where they get investment from outside. The first round, which is really when you're in an ideation stage, you want to do something, as I mentioned, you want to solve a particular problem, and you only have an idea. What is the solution to this particular problem? And you want to develop that idea. You want to convert it into a business model. So all the work is happening in you and your co-founder. If you've got a co-founder, if you've got 1 or 2 advisors, all the thing is happening in your mind, in your brain, and you are developing a business model from the idea that you have. Typically, large sums of money are not required at this point of time. It can be anything to 10 to 50 lakhs of money is required at this point of time. And since you only have an idea, no institutional investor or no investor who is looking for returns is going to give you any money. So this is called a bootstrapping phase of a startup. And in the bootstrapping phase, the money has to come from people who just believe in you or they like you, which is your friends and family. your parents, your brothers, sisters, your relatives, your well-wishers. These are the people who will give you some amount of capital, just trusting you. They know they can trust you. You're not going to waste their money, and you have an idea. They may not understand anything about that idea. They are not going to scrutinize your idea, whether it will ever become profitable and all that. So that's the bootstrapping phase. Once you have developed your idea and realize what you're actually going to do, then the next phase comes, which is called a proof of concept phase, where you have to physically create. If you've got a product in mind, you have to physically create. If you've got an app in mind, you have to make that app, develop that app. If you've got a service in mind, you have to put it to practice and actually demonstrate, at least in a few particular cases, like a prototype, like a pilot plant, the word which we use in our factories. That is the kind of phase. Typically, the funds required here are 50 lakhs to 5 crores. If it is a capital intensive kind of where some kind of machinery has to be given, at this stage, you still don't set up your own factory. You go to somebody else who's got similar kind of factory arrangement, maybe 1 or 2 small machines are required to be added. That's the kind of facilities which you use. So this is the stage where the angel investment comes in. It's of that order. I mentioned 50 lakhs to 5 crores kind of investment. And angel investors are people who have giving back to society also at the back of their mind. They also look for return. They don't want their money to be wasted. Nobody wants their money to be wasted. So they will, of course, scrutinize the proposal which the startup has. But they also have this kind of mindset that they are promoting entrepreneurship. Some of them will fail. Some of them will succeed. So they are willing to take that chance that if they invest in 10 startups, maybe 1 or 2 of them will successful and give them some return. Other 8, 9 may not be able to be that successful. They are willing to take that chance from the point of view of contributing to society. So those are the angel investors. Now you got a prototype, some customers, you have demonstrated it, and it works. You're happy. You have reached a stage where you know it works. Now you have to start scaling up. You come to a first phase of scaling up. Now, some products, like whichever way the product is, whether it's a digital product or whether it's a physical product, it is generally tested in one geography. So since we are in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh and Hyderabad, typically you want to test it out in Hyderabad city. If it is a B2B product, which is meant for software companies, you want to go them, you want to show it to them, you want to demonstrate to them. If it is a B2C product, your app, you have to reach the product, you have to acquire customers. But that's another big cost. Customer acquisition costs are pretty big at this stage. Nobody knows you. You don't have a brand. So you have to actually buy out the customers to some extent, just to prove that your concept works. So that is the stage where the venture capitalists come in. Now, since this is a relatively larger amount of money, we are going now from 5 crores to 50 crores range. So it's a large amount of money. No individual, no 3-4 people can contribute that kind of money when there is still uncertainty. Whether the large number of customers are going to like your product, whether they are able to get benefit from this product, and whether it will ever become very large scale. So that's the kind of stage you are in. So that's where the venture capital funds come in. They are an institutional investor. They will study your proposal just like a bank. Yeah, I forgot to mention that the traditional source of funding used to be banks, but banks will not fund any startup. The banks always want collateral. The startup has no collateral. He's got his idea in his brain as collateral. Or bankers want 3 years continuous profitable operation. Now he doesn't have any operation. So banks do not fund this. Non-banking financial companies also do not fund this because they are always looking for higher return. Their cost of money is higher, so they look for higher return. So NBFCs also don't fund. So you have to go to these venture capital funds. Now, the way the venture capital funds work is they go to investors who got surplus money to be deployed, and they have a bunch of 100, 200, 300 such people. And they may take just 1 crore of rupees from each of them. So they have a pool of 200, 300, 500 crores available. If you're talking about an investment of 5 to 50 crores in these kind of startups, they would then do that. They would scrutinize. They will make the money available. Again, the chances of success even at this stage are, I would say, 50-50. Though from the absolute startup stage, it is 70-30. Even at this stage, it would be 50-50. So there is a risk involved. So you have to convince them a lot. Many of them come to your place, they observe your operation, and they bring in some restrictions. It is at this stage you start doing a lot more diligently the statutory compliances, audits, and formation of the company, all the company law related, all the several laws which are applicable to the company. So the venture capital fund will insist on even train you. They will take you through this so that you become compliant with all these, So that is the stage when you are with venture capital. Now your company is operating, you're proven it in the city of Hyderabad or even Telangana, you got some fair amount of turnover, 30, 44 crores of turnover. Now you want to take the next step. You want to then go all India or maybe global, depending on what product or service that you're offering. And that is a stage when you are requiring much, much higher amount of capital, let's say 50 crores to 500 crores kind of capital. That's when we go to private equity investors. Now, private equity investors are relatively larger investors. Typically, they want to take over the company. So the good, smart promoters, they don't want to like to go to private equity players. Private equity players want to make the entrepreneur, the founder, into a paid employee. They will say, you become managing director, you run the company for us, you take your pound of flesh, you get a few crores of money, a few $1 million of money, but afterwards you are their employee managing director. You no more control the future of the company. So that's the risk involved. The people who want to run that business for some people are very happy to do it. There are many people who are happy to do it. That is the stage where the private equity player professionalizes the company. Because so much money, so much capital has come into the company, they can afford market salaries for people. So they will hire a professional CEO whose salary will be very high. A founder startup cannot afford to pay that salary. But now the company can afford to pay because you've got more capital infusion which has come into the company. And the last and final stage is the IPO, which is you list the company on the stock market. That's when the private equity players make money. So you list on the stock market and then millions of people, if you're done well by that time, millions of people will buy your shares and private equity players may dilute fully or partly, so they make their money, founder makes his money, company gets professionalized and runs forever. So that's the total journey of several rounds of funding. And each round of funding, there is a separate criteria or investigation study happening on the way you're operating and creating value for yourself and the company. So these are the stages through which the funding rounds go. Now, who invests in these companies? I have only explained to you from where this funding comes from. But why would somebody put money, even if it is a venture capital fund in which somebody is putting in 2 crores of his money or 1 crore of his money? Why would he put that money when the risks are still so high? As I mentioned in the chances of success, chances of super success is only 1%. Chances of reasonable success is 10%. So I call it greed, People who have surplus amount of money, they are never satisfied with the returns. Initially, when you start saving some money, you put it in fixed deposit. Then you start putting in national savings certificate, PPA, so on and so forth. Then you get paltry returns of today FD return is 6-7%, post tax is less than 5%. So you're not happy with FD. Then you say, okay, let me invest in mutual funds. I'll get a little more return. I'll invest in stock market where the risks are higher. But if you're reasonably intelligent, you may get 12-13% return over a period of time. If you're lucky, in the lucky years, you get 20%. In bad years, you get 5%. So weighted average, you can get 12-13% return if you're an intelligent investor in stock market. You're still not happy. You're still not happy. You want to get 20%. You want to get 25%. Now, higher the returns expectation, higher is the risk. That is how this class of investment has happened, which is called technical term alternative investment funds. These are called AIFs, where the risks are very high, but the rewards are also very high. As I mentioned, the company Zoom became 1600 times. So you can calculate in 6 years' time, if your money becomes 1600 times, the CAGR growth will be in 100. It will be 100% plus, or you can calculate definitely more than 100% annualized return on these kind of investment. So people feel, there are people who have enough money, they say, I will put some amount, I will diversify my portfolio. If I got 10 crores surplus investable, I will put some amount in fixed deposit, I'll put some amount in stock market, some amount in real estate, some amount in gold, but I also want to put 10%, 12%, 5% of my money into startup activity, where if I'm lucky, the money will become 100 times. So that's the kind of risk appetite there are people. And as India has become a more standard of living is going up, particularly the middle class is growing up, people are becoming richer faster. We all know most of our children, their salaries are in many cases as much or higher than our salaries. So that's what is happening. And therefore, this kind of surplus fund is flowing into the startup ecosystem, which is a good thing to happen. That's how Silicon Valley has developed, and that's how worldwide the startup ecosystem has developed and created the behemoths of the world, you know, the Googles of the world and the Apples of the world. That is how they have got created. India, with its talent pool, has a huge opportunity to create this kind of future for ourselves. So that's where you know, the startup ecosystem is leading us to now, to reach that $30 trillion by 2030. So one point I would like to mention: when you start up, you must have a unique solution, preferably protected by IP. You will get funding coming in if you've got a unique solution which is intellectual property protected. It need not be only scientific discoveries. It could be a process patent, it could be the way of operating, or it has to be very, very difficult to replicate. Today is an enormous opportunity coming like this for vaccine development. And going forward, healthcare is a sector where, you know, this will go very, very far. Startups have a huge opportunity in the healthcare space. We all are not in that phase. We are hardcore. We are kind of brick and mortar people. Most of us are brick and mortar people. Maybe some of the youngsters also have exposure to more modern technology. So probably we are running out of time. We are already at 12:12. So Satya, how do we take it forward? I just want to, because some of you mentioned that you would like to start on this journey. So that first 1 year is very, very critical. You know, you have to make that decision. That is why I'm not very fond of IIT, IIM, though they get all the mileage and they get the funding and all that. I found that IIT, IIM kind of guys give up too fast because they've got a huge market value. They tried for 2 years, 3 years. If it doesn't work, they will go and join McKinsey. McKinsey will offer them 50 lakh starting salary. So they give up too fast. Whereas the guy who has got passion for the problem and the solution that he is solving, he wants to stick it. He wants to make it his organization. He wants to build an organization. Build to Last, Barla's book, which all of us Silvers have contributed. He wants to create an organization like that. Those are the kind of startup entrepreneurs I personally get enormous pleasure in dealing with. You know? So I hope India create those kind of startups and not those who are after valuation game, not after value creation game, after value game. Value created stays with the, not with the company alone, but with the nation, with the world. Whereas valuation, the company gives money only to the shareholders or to the founder. So I would like to conclude here by saying, look forward to some of our Silvers. We have some of them. They have gone into traditional areas. I don't think we should undermine the effort they have put in. So good luck to those of you who are thinking on those lines, either to become a successful entrepreneur or a successful startup. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Over to you, Surya.
Sir, thank you very much, sir. Now we will take the questions. If anyone has any questions, please raise your hand. In doing that, first I am unmuting Tulsi, sir. First hand raised by Tulsi, sir.
Yeah,
Pradeep,
Tulsi.
can you hear me?
Yeah,
Pradeep?
very clearly.
Yeah, thank you. A silly question. Not that I'm interested in a startup, but one problem which India faces bothers me a lot. The perishable nature of commodities, particularly vegetables and fruits. I see in the newspapers, a farmer who grows hardly gets 8 or 10 rupees for a kilo of tomato, whereas it gets sold in the market, in the supermarket, for 30-35 rupees. How to save this, escalation of price going up and the perishability of the commodities addressed, particularly when the road connectivity is improving a lot. Why can't we have storage facilities on the main roads? where the vegetables which are grown nearby can be quickly brought and stored in a air-conditioned facility. It keeps bothering me. I don't know who can put money in this.
So, Satya, on the technicality, since we will exceed 40 minutes, shall we all rejoin?
No, sir, it is not going to close. We already crossed the 40 minutes.
Okay. Very good. So I believe at random they allow you to extend. So good. Tulsi, very good question and very dear to my heart as well. And you began by saying silly question. So it's a typical start. If a startup comes out with an idea which everybody says, "Oh, what a great idea," then it's something wrong with it. First thing people should tell him, like they told the Zoom guy, how can you compete with Skype? Your idea is nothing new, But so you're right. Only the answer to your question is very, very elaborate. It's a national problem, and I'm sure from Prime Minister Modi downwards, everybody is trying to address this problem. We ourselves in ITC in eChowpal try to address this problem to some extent. So there are two things here. One is the physical infrastructure, which you alluded to. The roads have to get better, the cold chains have to get better, which are all capital intensive things. So people have the government has to invest in road infrastructure, which is happening. Government has to create conditions and give soft loans for creating the cold chain kind of infrastructure. But in the context of startups, what can they do? Now, the best use, I have not invested, but I have got interaction and advisory to some startups in this agriculture ecosystem. So people who have, created a digital platform, to put it in simple words, it's an Amazon for agriculture. I'm a farmer. It's an Amazon for farmer. A farmer needs some inputs and some outputs. Like a small businessman, he needs some inputs and he sells to Amazon. So similarly, farmer needs inputs. So he needs fertilizers, he needs seeds, he needs advisory on his on the climate that is coming, when he should be doing sowing, how much water he should put. So he needs inputs, physical inputs and advisory. On the other hand, he needs the marketplace. So this is a company called Big Heart. Heart is in village like a chowpal, where people come and sort of exchange or trade and all that. So Big Heart is the name. Nowadays, the startups also give Indianized names. So the company provides input. So what they are doing, they are disintermediating. Today, if a farmer wants to buy a pesticide, there is a trader available in Bhadrachalam or whatever, the small town. Trader is his best advisor. He tells him, put this pesticide. I will give you this credit. So the system has got so rotten. It's become so money-making. And large companies who supply fertilizers, etc., they don't have access. They believe in distributors. They believe in these small traders in the towns. So this company disintermediated. They told United Phosphorus or large fertilizer companies or large pesticide companies that we will give you 100,000 tons of order at a time. What discount will you give us? Okay. And they tied up with logistics companies. There are many logistics companies, startups who are in the logistics, who are willing to take the product from Kakinada and bring it to Sarapaka. There are startup logistics companies. They don't own any fleets. They don't own any trucks. But because of aggregation model, they give cost effectiveness. So on one side, this company like Big Heart are getting that benefit of cost from the large players, fertilizer manufacturers, pesticide manufacturers. They are able to reduce the cost in the supply chain by, again, aggregation. And farmer is having it available on his phone. So farmer is able to know this pesticide actually costs only 10 rupees a kilo and not 25 rupees a kilo, which the trader is telling him. Earlier, when this digital technology is not available, or these apps were not available, these kind of startups had not made it possible. Farmer didn't know. The guy said 25 rupees one day, the guy said 40 rupees another day. So it is happening. It is slow. Still, there is a enormous scope for improvement. Yeah, but I'm quite positive that with disintermediation model, whatever capital investment areas, only the governments and the ITCs of the world have to get in. So cold chain, I don't know whether it's possible. But once the cold chain is developed, to get their efficiency, as I mentioned to you, some of these guys are having IoT devices. With one person, you can operate the entire cold chain warehouse. Because there are so many, like automation in our factories. Typically paper machine used to have 20 operators at one point of time. Today we have 3 or 4. Today we have 3 or 4, and 3 or 4 is in India, I'm saying. Abroad they have maybe 1 or 2 only. So that kind of thing is possible today because of IoT devices and the internet technologies, and more technologies coming up. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, further improving, then to advise a farmer that, you got this disease on your farm, you need to spray this pesticide, and I can deliver this pesticide to you tomorrow, and I can spray it with my drones. So it's expensive at this point of time. One of my investee companies, a drone company, it's expensive at the moment. Only the large farmers who more than 100 acres are able to access this kind of service. But costs will come down, just like mobile phones, just like Ola, Uber. When there are a large number of users come in, because these are all digital technologies, the cost will come down. So I'm very hopeful that with modern technology, we will be able to, the startup ecosystem will be able to contribute to this. Thank you, Tulsi.
Thank you.
Next is Mr. Barla. Sir, you want to say something?
This thing to
Barla, we are seeing you upside down. Are you lying down?
no,
We are seeing you upside down.
Maybe the
now we are
machine.
seeing you.
Am I okay?
Fine. Now you're fine.
Yeah. Good afternoon to everybody. Pradeep and others, and also Tulsi also there. I'm happy I'm meeting all of you. I have been into knowledge business for quite many years, for about 15 years by now. The knowledge business is in 2 dimensions. One is relating to pulp and paper industry. The other is relating to education industry. Now, I find the pulp and paper industry in India and also from the third world countries is far behind compared to the pulp and paper mills which are there in the developed countries like Stora and things like that. So the pulp and paper industry from the third world countries to India have to graduate to a knowledge-based economy using technologies. Yesterday I was talking to somebody about paper mills using artificial intelligence and things like that. So in this transformation, there may be a lot of startup companies which can arise and help these traditional motor companies to graduate to modern type of technology-based companies. So I want to know whether there is an opportunity of aggregating the buyers and sellers kind of a thing. The sellers being the people who have the knowledge who can give it to paper mills, buyers being the paper mills, paper technologists who are in need of those modern technologies. The example of artificial intelligence or augmented reality and the kind of things. So I would like to mediate that kind of a forum to link the up and down streams, the modern and the traditional ends, the industry. So I don't know what kind of opportunities. I don't mind investing, but I don't mind pulling up the investment also. But I'd like to know the opportunities available for a startup in this domain. The second field that I was operating was the educational field. As you know, I have been an educational consultant, faculty in several universities and things. In this particular field, it's very big as paper industry. And in this particular field, bigger also. We have students who fail. For example, in BTech, first year of engineering, 50% of the students fail in mathematics and engineering drawing, or if you take medical, it's anatomy, they fail and things like that. So they carry forward those courses, and by third year they have to clear it, otherwise they have to quit the college. Is there any possibility to link up the professors who have the knowledge worldwide and who can give an encapsulated quick solution to these boys and girls who can grasp that knowledge and then pass their examination quickly? I have experimented myself in a brick and mortar way, and I have been able to really provide help to these students. But then I want to add technology to this and create a startup whereby I link up the faculty and the students, failure candidates, and the expert faculty who may be worldwide anywhere, maybe next door or in Lanka. So from Lanka, he can invite me. So if a proper app can be developed, so this can be another idea that I was toying with. So over to you, Pradeep. If you can throw some light on this, I'd be obliged.
Yeah. So, Surya, Barla's voice was kind of breaking. Is my voice also breaking?
No, sir. Maybe the problem is with his bandwidth from his side, not.
Okay. But I understood his question. Barla, I will take your second observation first. First of all, both great observations. I'll take your second observation first, which is related to providing a solution to the so-called failures. I mean, they failed the exam, not necessarily the failures in life, but those who are failing these exams. How do you use modern technology? Is there opportunity available for startup people to get into this? So the answer is a positive yes. Personally, I feel, and there's a lot of literature on this, many other people believe it as well, the education as we know is going to be completely transformed in next, I would say 5 years. People say 10 years time, but according to me, even 5 years time. Already because of COVID, all the students today, school students are studying at home today. It's a simple application of video conferencing technology, but that's not enough. That's just the beginning. Only through video conferencing, that technology was available there. It has forced us to use that, and therefore people are using it now. But complete pedagogy, how do you design courses for teaching in a video conferencing kind of fashion? How do you get the interaction among the student, which is very much possible in the school, much more in a live situation than the video conferencing situation? So that area definitely is going to, a lot more startup activity is going to come there, a lot more technology application is going to come there. And you will be surprised, through my contacts I know, the company which is betting biggest in this area happens to be Reliance Industries. So they have created a huge digital platform now. We all hear about Jio, but we do not know what all he is going to do on Jio platform. So education is going to be completely transformed with, and he's buying out smaller companies who are today, they are able to buy them at 5 crores value, 10 crores value and all that. And with all the technical knowledge, they are all becoming his employees, paid CEO. They may still be called CEO of that particular vertical, but they have now kind of, the technology now is owned by Reliance, or Jio they call it. So it is going to happen. Specifically addressing people who are not doing well in their exams is absolutely, at least what I know. I know some edtech companies here, and some of the investments of Hyderabad Angels are in edtech area. I haven't heard of this idea before. So definitely there seems to be a huge potential. But since you have the pedagogic experience, you have got the education field experience, do you feel that it's only, if you're just going to use video conferencing technology, I don't think it's going to solve the problem. Is there something better that you can do through technology where they're able to learn it better, understand it better, and therefore they will not fail? If it is just normally in the classroom, they have 20 classes for this subject, now you're going to give them 20 more through video conferencing, naturally their understanding will be better, etc. Then it will not scale up that fast. Can you do something before they fail? Can you identify those whose kind of learning ability compared to the average learning ability which the colleges cater for is not there? Can you do something for them in advance? So something different beyond the use of technology of video conferencing or whatever will have to be thought of. So that's my observation. It's not an answer. I mean, you made an observation. I've given my view on that. I'm not so hopeful on the first part of what he said, which is paper industry sort of adopting these routes. Though I know some steps in this direction are already happening. Now, part of it, connecting the customers to the mills or connecting the vendors to the mills or the companies is not a paper industry solution. Those solutions will happen, they will evolve, they will get further fine-tuned by more startup activity happening. But they will be applicable even to a steel plant or even to a cement plant. they will not be paper industry specific. What I'm looking forward to paper industry specific is that what they call manufacturing 4.0. How are able to improve the efficiency? Our costs are just too high. And in India, it's not a manpower cost. You take away your maintenance cost, your downtime cost. I mean, that's criminally high, can in the modern world, can the machine afford to operate at 90%? We feel happy where OE is costing 80%. No way, we have to cross 95. So what is it that can be done by the startup entrepreneurs who need to have that technical knowledge? So I feel that these are so specialized operations. For a person coming completely from a college and applying a technology and making this happen, particularly in the mills kind of environment, may be difficult. Companies to encourage their startup, what ITC calls intrapreneurship. You got an engineer who worked on a paper machine, a pulp mill, or in maintenance for 3, 4, 5 years. You put a pool of them together, 3, 4 of them together, give them a particular problem, which is the industry problem, not your company problem. But then you are not approaching a startup mindset. It should be an industry problem which you're solving. I believe, I'm told that ITC has got a group-wide Industry 4.0 initiative. I think Sanjay is on the board. Sanjay is on that committee, which is ITC-wide committee, not just the SPD committee. I think he is on that committee. I haven't interacted recently, but I'm told some applications of artificial intelligence and machine learning is already happening in Bhadrachalam. I don't know in what areas, but maybe you could request Sanjay or Makarand or somebody in Bhadrachalam to highlight more about that. I don't think there is anything confidential in that. So I would recommend we address that issue when we have the session on the paper industry startups side.
Sir, next is Mr. Ashok Ambalam. Mr. Ashok, you can.
Good morning. Yeah. Good morning, sir. Pradeep, sir. Very
Hi,
nice
Ashok, how are
seeing
you?
you. Good, sir.
Same here. You are in Chennai now?
Yeah, I'm in Chennai, sir.
You are with Build now?
No, sir. I'm with Wires and Fabrics.
Oh, you changed.
We met the other day in DHQ also.
Okay. Sorry, my memory is failing me. But
Yes,
go ahead.
sir. Okay, I have two-part questions there. One, of course, related to the paper industry. The other one would be the startup and general economy per se. The first question is now all of us know China as one of the most inevitable manufacturers for the world, both in terms of finished products, machineries, and everything. If you look at finished products, all of us know the kind of strength they had and the kind of havoc they create in the market. Finished products, I really mean paper, board, art paper, and those kind of things. The second one is the paper machineries and accessories. So post the kind of problem we have against China, how do you foresee, what do you foresee things would happen? And will it be opening up for other economies like India or other geographies like South America and things like that? Or China would be able to overcome that? That is my first question, sir. The second question is, it's almost 100 years now after the World War II. Post World War II, more important for the COVID-19 pandemic, I'm relating. Post World War II, we had the gold and oil and the stock market, of course, being one of the biggest drivers of the economy globally. You would see America become, they were outsourcing manufacturing to China and services to India, and they were only putting all their money into Wall Street and financials, and they were trying to have a better lifestyle. So all this was possible because of the three industry sectors that I was telling you. Post COVID-19, how would things change, and what would be the landscape of economies, and what would be the landscape basic manufacturing, startups, IoTs, and AIs, and all those things. There are a small gyan on that. Thank you.
So, Ashok, thank you. Of course, again, both are very, very broad questions. I'll give my just immediate reaction to this, not a comprehensive answer to what you have posed. For paper industry, my personal belief is China is there and will continue to be there. First reason being, this is not a product which will get affected by COVID. You know? If a roll or a pallet comes from China with paper on it, I don't think the printer needs to sanitize it. So it's not a consumer product or it's not a food product to that extent. Second reason, you know, the kind of capacity which China has today, for the world to create equivalent capacity outside is going to require a huge amount of capital. So if we say India will supply that paper, India will have to invest trillions of, not billion, trillions of dollars into bringing paper industrial growth. It's not possible. India has no raw material. Who will do it? Brazil will do it? I don't know. Because post-COVID, the investing, risk-taking ability of in such large projects is going to be reduced. So I would say the world may go more towards how do I reduce paper consumption? How do I bring in more technology to that? Can I dispense with packaging? It's a scary thought, but can I dispense with packaging? Those kind of things to reduce paper consumption rather than say, I will set up $1 billion pulp and paper mill, you know. Until that happens, I think Chinese products will continue to because they have the advantage of being least cost manufacturers. I'm not even commenting on their financial systems, but even at the factory level, the manufacturing costs are the lowest. So I think maybe for a year or so, people will bash up China, but they will have no other answer. And when the demand comes back to the normalcy, you know, for the demand to come back to normalcy, it will take 6-8 months. You know? So that's, people do say there's a huge, there could be a small opportunity. The Indian paper industry exports how much? Really piddly volumes. India has got so much domestic potential today. If we can stop all the import, that will be great. So I don't see that as a country-wide huge opportunity. Some companies who have been exporting today, they may get better pricing, they may benefit, profit may go up by 10%, but nothing earth-shaking. I don't think that $1 billion projects are going to come not just in India, but elsewhere, because people world doesn't want to buy from China. So that's my view on the first question. Second question, yes, oil dictated our economy and services and manufacturing, etc., happened over a period of time. People believe, and this is what I read, and I'm no expert on this, but people believe that data is going to be the oil of future. Because the larger the amount of data you have, more informed your decisions are. It's both at your personal level. When you want to order a pizza, you want to compare all the sites and whoever is offering cheaper and the good quality, you want to order from them. It happened at the company level, it happened at the nation level. And the techniques of analyzing data, because of huge computing power that is available, is going to make things even easier and easier. On your mobile phone, you will be able to go through data which will be in whatever, zettabytes or whatever. So people say that. So who commands data? It's a very involved science. Who commands data? India has come out with a regulation that all the data centers of multinational companies like Google, etc., should also be in the Indian territory. I don't think that is practicable. It may not work. You may actually end up losing all these technologies if we kind of insist on something like that. So which way it will go? So whoever controls data ownership, data traffic, a lot of legal hurdles also may be there in this, and data analysis. So it's a very futuristic kind of scenario. We'll need a lot more detailed discussion. But that's my broad, and that's what Reliance is betting on. I mean, Reliance company has gone through all this. They went through the oil and gas phase first. Then they went to the consumer retail. So they have become the largest retailer through all the Reliance retail shops. So they have gone through the consumer phase, and now they're going to do the data phase. So very futuristic thinking on part of Mukesh Ambani. We all have some negative thoughts when it comes to Reliance, the way they manage authorities and so on and so forth. But I think he has earned his space under the sky, coming out of the shadows of Dhirubhai Ambani and now making a space under the sky for himself. So that's my comment, Ashok.
Sir, next is Mr. Srikanth Palakurti. I request Srikanth to open his video so that All can see you.
Everybody can see him. Hi, Srikanth.
Mr. Srikanth? Sir, his question was, I don't know where.
If he has left, then we need not answer his question.
Yeah, I don't think he has left.
I don't see Srikanth here.
Okay, sir. I'm connecting now Mr. Mohan Gadge.
Yeah. Hi, Mohan. Belated happy birthday.
1 minute, sir. I'm connecting him.
Whoever you're connecting is dropping out, is it?
I'm here, sir. I'm here.
Yes, sir.
So go ahead.
Hello,
Mohan.
hello.
Mr. Mohan, you can
Sir,
start your
belated-
video.
Belated happy birthday.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right.
Okay, sir. I'm still muted. Yeah, now I'm
No,
unmuted.
we are
We are able to hear you. You can ask your question, Mr. Mohan.
Okay, sir. Similarly, my question is related toward the study aspect of it. Sir, for the medical science student, there is a lot of things we can do for this startup with related with some typical subjects like pathology or human anatomy, and preferably with some 3D models and something like that, more than the classroom coaching. Or maybe, sir, you know better something is available.
No, you're absolutely right. But I think that's already available. I don't think whether it's a new innovation play. Today, when the Walmart sends you a manual, I doubt whether they send you paper manuals anymore. So they send you, CDs, or it's available on the web itself, and it's got all the 3-dimensional pictures and what have you. Lot more easier to explain to and train the people. So you're talking about the factory staff, or you're talking about education in general?
Education in general, sir, for the medical science students who are going to be future doctors.
Yeah.
Sir,
No, definitely there is a huge scope for this IoT everywhere. As Barla said, the expertise is limited. Somebody who can
Yes, sir.
teach very well, somebody can explain very well. Such people
Yes,
are
sir.
rare. See, normally what happens? The guy does PhD, he becomes a professor. Now, ability to teach is not one of the criterion. How good a PhD thesis he wrote is a criterion. So naturally, he doesn't have not all of them. Few of them do have the flair to teach and explain and things like that. Because of modern technology, if it is possible to encapsulate that way of teaching and make it available at a very, very affordable cost to rank and file, things will definitely improve. And whatever is true about healthcare is true about engineering,
Sir, next is Mr. Srikanth Palakurti. You can see him.
Hello. Good afternoon, sir. Hello. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, we can hear
Hello.
you.
Hi, Srikanth. Go ahead.
Hi, sir. Hello. Sir, I have one simple question, sir. When I see all these startups, especially that are growing now in India, the valuations keep on changing whenever there is, a new investor coming in or other thing. But actually, are they really making money, sir? So at the end of the day, these people, someone should make money at the end of the day. The investor will make money. Well, maybe he exits at a later stage, so he makes some money. But is the companies really making money?
Good
And
question.
how long will, because but the example that you gave of Zoom actually is a listed company now. But
Correct.
if I see so many startups that come in, even Uber, Ola, all these people are.
Okay.
The valuation up, and which will.
I think there is a
Question is, are they making money? The answer is no. Most of them are not. One company which I know which has received this kind of $1 billion valuation and making money is Baiju, which is in the field of education. Everybody feels education should not be very expensive. There will be government regulations. he can't charge whatever he wants for his intellectual property. But he's created a product and a service where he's able to make it very affordable to the consumer and still be profitable.
Correct.
So for all other companies, their valuation goes up by the number of users, not by how much profit they're making, not even turnover in some. As I mentioned to you, Zoom's turnover is that of PSPD, but the valuation is more than that of IT. So if today's 200 million users become 500 million next year, the Zoom share price will become $100. So it is all in, because companies last for 100 years. Companies don't have to make profit in 10, 15 years time. Companies have to last much longer period. So people expect at some stage they will take Google for example. Google did not make profit for a number of years. Today it's very profitable company. So so at what stage you will monetize to the extent of making profits and return in form of dividend, not just share price valuation? It's still a question mark, because the entire startup ecosystem itself is 20 years old. It takes much longer than that to establish whether this model of growth, this model of innovation is the right model. But they are definitely creating value for society.
That's benefiting.
For sure, our productivity is going up. We are generating more GDP because of Google today than without Google. So the value for the society has already got created.
Sir, but sir, at the end, they are also not doing any charity, right? Someone has to make money at some stage. Otherwise, especially this, like Zoom, sir, even we take Zoom or even Byju's, once they are successful, there will be so many companies which will be following them. So, like what you said, PSPD, we started the factory 40 years back, and it's brick and mortar, so it's still there. But in case of Byju, I don't know, there could be someone else who will come up and take away the whole thing, maybe in a much better way, like what you said, with Barla's answer.
That is what I say. If you heard what I mentioned, when the private equity player comes in, when the private equity, he brings in all this.
Correct.
So if the private equity player, by that time, Byju's founder has made his money. If he's interested to run it as much carefully as he was running it before, he will continue as CEO. If it does not, they will get rid of him. They will find a professional CEO who will be able to protect this. So you see worldwide, whether it is Facebook or Microsoft or Google, the original founders are no more running the companies.
No more running the company.
It's the professionals who are running the companies. Now, the professional job is to take care of the company's future growth, And so it's not just creating value for shareholders, but creating value for the customer, society, everywhere. But yes, broadly your question is right. Whether the model has been proven that these high valuation companies will ever return. RONA, in our paper industry or ITC term, we used to use the word RONA, return on net asset, return on capital employed. When will they deliver that? We have to wait and watch. If you realize, most of these companies are not very capital intensive.
Yes, sir.
So what are they doing? They are burning investors' money and acquiring customers. Customers. So now you've got a huge customer base. There are 1 billion people in the world. They are using your product. But your investments are not it's not like paper industry. They haven't spent $1 billion in creating a factory. Their expertise is only people. So,
but sir, how loyal the people will be? I used to be a loyal Ola guy till Uber started reducing prices.
No, absolutely. So I agree with you. So that's why I said in the beginning, I like the entrepreneurs, startups who want to build a long-lasting organization on fundamentals of profitability and not chase the $1 billion valuation.
Correct, sir. Yeah, I agree with that point of view. Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Maybe one or two questions more we'll take.
Sir, before I hand over to Mr. P.C. Rao, who will be the last one to ask the question, I have one question, sir. How the ideas to be shared with whom? What is the platform that are available to share the ideas that you have? and how to protect your idea when you are sharing the team or anyone with the startup.
So typically there are institutional places, and most of the governments and the educational institutions have now created this hub with the initiative from Mr. Modi. Each engineering college, for example, now I believe in the medical college have started. Each engineering college has a cell, which is the startup cell. Then you have governments like T-Hub. So in T-Hub, there are specialists whose job is only to this. The startups will come to them with an idea only, and they will sort of fine-tune the idea, or they'll tell them it's good or it's not good, or how should you go about it. That's the other way of doing it. So basically it is related, and that is why Silicon Valley is successful. Why is Silicon Valley successful? Because the startups could walk across to the best universities in the world. They are all there. Stanford, Berkeley, they are all around Silicon Valley. So because of that, they could get their ideas fine-tuned. Or you have to have a subject matter expert. He need not be having expertise in the solution that you have provided, but he will have wider view or expertise or knowledge or experience in whether this problem that you are solving. See, remember, I would like to repeat that. Starter's first job is to clearly identify and define the problem he wants to solve. If you have not done that correctly, your solution will be half-hearted. So are you solving a big enough problem? For that, I don't have to be an expert in understanding whether your solution is correct or not. So people want to have, sometimes the consumer himself doesn't know. None of us ever said, hey, can I have a taxi whenever I want? Just by one phone call or just by one click, I should get a taxi and I should be able to pay reasonable price for it and go safely. We never said it. But that guy thought. So many of the startups, when you listen to their speeches, when they have become successful, they fall back on their experience. They say, this is what had happened. This big heart company, which I mentioned to you, he's a son of a farmer. He's no IIT, MBA, nothing. But his poor father or whatever had experienced all this. The family got into trouble because of, these intermediary people taking away all their money. So he said, what the hell? Why is it that I don't know? Because he got better education relatively. So he questioned, this is the way we are doing farming today. This is the way we are getting pesticides and fertilizers. These are the people whom we are selling to. We are not making money. We are toiling here day out, day out. We don't have salaries. Farmer doesn't get a salary for working. And we are putting in, creating so much value. So can this change? What do I need to do? So many startups are, because they are passionate about it, somebody who's creating food for diabetic patients, special food diabetic patients. In his family, somebody has died with diabetes. He loved them so much or her so much that he feels so passionate about it. Now I'm going to create food for diabetics. So those are the kind of people who are not willing to give up because something has happened in their family. So you need to have that kind of passion. That kind of passion comes because of something which you have experienced. It doesn't come if you have generally led a hunky-dory life, So that's why you always hear this, what they call rags to riches story. Somebody has gone through experience. So it must have happened like that. Somebody wanted a taxi, did not get a taxi. Somebody in his family probably died. So then he realized that this problem is there worldwide. So initially it starts like that. Then he goes around searching, not give up. People will discourage him and all that. Finally, he finds a solution. So that identification of a problem and whether that problem is being faced by a large percentage of society, it is a B2B problem, there's a large number of companies. That's why I worry about paper industry. There are not so many paper industry is very small that way, in terms of number of players who are controlling the total manufacture either in India or in the world, So 400-500 is not a large number. Even if you develop something which is very good, if you're going to have 400-500 customers, it's no big deal. You won't become a billion-dollar company. You have to produce paper machines to become a billion-dollar company.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
So taking idea to a startup is any T-Hub or any such thing is a good idea to share your idea at first place.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay. Now the last part, before I hand over to Mr. P.C. Rao, I request Mr. Satyanarayana to ready to give a vote of thanks. Mr. P.C. Rao.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. When the idea of startup is generated in my mind, I have gone through certain things. Which is the best startup in the present competitive world? I have identified something: food, clothing, footwear, medicines, supply chain, drinking water, and pollution control. These are the points came to my mind, and out of all these things, and food generation through mechanized farming by getting the land hired from the government. So this can generate some employment to the even people who are interested in farming, mechanized farming especially. So support this. Support my idea. What is your broad what do you call suggestion from your side?
See, all very good point. The areas which are identified are definitely worth pursuing, and there are many startup companies who are in all these fields, but in certain sections. Nobody is thinking comprehensively like what you have mentioned, and maybe it is not possible for one company to provide all these answers. If at all it is possible for the government, so government has to create such environment where 10 different startups identify one area and solve that problem collectively. That's the way to look at it. Now, which one to select? So, mechanized farming to increase the farm output is what comes to your mind. To my mind, it may be skill development. Somebody else's mind, it may be educational system. Somebody else's mind, it could be, it is your personal way. You can't say this one is more important than climate change. If climate change becomes goes to its extreme, the world may come to an end. So, who is to say whether climate change is more important or feeding the large population of India is important and therefore productivity of land should go up? It's not possible. So, there is one yardstick. Whoever is getting this idea, what experience and knowledge he has, what expertise does he have? Now, some people, like I said, if you are a farmer's son, and if you are in a startup which is related to agriculture, your chances of success are much better than an MBA coming from outside. Or if you have a combination of both. If you have somebody like Barla, who comes from Burgampad, who's seen farming from a childhood, and who also happens to have IIM, chances of success are very high. But if you're not, you have all the time operated in a city environment, you have worked for Hindustan Lever for 4 or 5 years, you have sold soaps for a few years, and suddenly you say, I will go and, increase farm productivity. The chances of success are less.
Yeah, of course, you are right, sir. Of course, basically, I'm from farmer family only.
Somebody may, correct. So then you're on the right track. So now you have to start asking your question: why is it not happening? Yeah. Why is a farm productivity not? You will get several questions. And that's what I meant. That start phase before you even start the company is that first phase where you need to spend 10, 15, 20 lakhs. Why is that money required? It is required for a kind of a research. Your theme is increase agriculture production. Right? Yes. Now, how do you do it? Now, mechanization is one you already said. Taking land on lease is another thing you said. Now you question, why is it not happening? Why is mechanization not happening? Is the technology not available? Is the technology not suitable for Indian condition? Is the technology too expensive? So you will get some answers in that. When you get first level of answers, you will ask further more questions. Then you will go to the next level. And then like that 3, 4, 5 iteration you do, you say, oh, the main cause is this. If I address this, these 5 things will find a solution for themselves. Similarly, taking land from the government from the lease. So we in paper industry have struggled for 40 years. Even my predecessor, Chuk Saab and all that, in 60s, the movement has started towards making land available for private plantations. Even today, it has not happened after 60 years. So why is it not happening? Will the government give land? But things are changing. Modi may think differently. And suddenly one fine day, are we ready? Supposing suddenly one fine day, the government says, here is 50,000 hectares of land. Do you think there will be a lot of companies coming forward to take it? I'm not very sure.
Yes, of
maybe
course.
Maybe one or two companies are ready. Others don't know how to manage. Forest department knows how to manage 50,000 acres of land. We don't know. So question yourself again and again. And so what I mentioned, that 1 year study before you actually embark on this journey and form a company and go toward is required for that. The problem which you're solving, a particular example you are giving, is a very large problem. It's a very high applicability all over the developing world. In developed world, is already happening. The first thing to see is what is happening in developed world. In American farm, if the productivity is so much, in Chinese farm, the productivity is so much, why is it not an Indian farm? So you will get some answers there.
Yes.
So when you get some answer, you will have to travel. You will have to go and talk to the people. You will have to go and, so all that, when I said in the first, before you even form the company, it's fine tuned. At the end of it, you'll come to a conclusion, I don't know the solution, or maybe somebody else is already doing. If somebody else is already doing, he does it faster than you, then you will never be successful. So that study period is very important. You need people, whom you can bounce off your ideas on. People like Barla, senior people in our own system, and some professors in college, in these incubation centers. Just go and talk to them, bounce your ideas off them.
Yes, sir.
Talk to some farmers in the villages. You get deep insights.
Yes.
You get deep insights talking to people in different fields. Sometimes even if that guy is not a farmer, you talk to him, he may give you some ideas. Study on internet what's happening in Israel. Why Israel has got highest productivity in agriculture in spite of being a water-starved country? Not in spite of, because of it is the water-starved country. They did not have water. So they had to put in all their research and development in saying that for every drop of water, I'll create so many, grams of grain. That's how they started. So that's the approach.
Sir, Mr. Madan Mohan joined from Canada. You want to say?
Hi, Madan.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Madan, tell me.
First of all, thank you very much, sir. This is really very interesting and informative.
Yeah.
My question is, I may be having an idea, but where, coming to your point of refinement of the idea, where can we get the basic information like a market analysis or the ground level information?
So that's what I said. That's what I was answering to PC Rao also. So you will have to spend some 10, 20, 30, 40 lakhs rupees, depending on what kind of problem you are solving, First of all, first step is always internet. There is so much information available, but of course I would caution you, don't believe every article that you read in it, because articles are written on internet at different points of time. Development happen in the meantime. So if you read something which is written in 2000, it may not be applicable today. But you have to go through that process. You have to. Internet is always your first point of stop when it comes to gathering information. Some broad information, if you want to say what is the soap market in India, you Google soap market in India, you will get 10 different articles. But it will be broad information, sketchy information, not detailed information. So at some point of time, you will have to go to, just to give an example of paper industry, people like RISI. RISI has got so many publications come out. Some of them are paid, some of them are free. You can read the PPI magazine, it is free, or at very marginal charge or whatever. But if you want to access that report, particular product, you say the paper cups market in India, it's a paid report. It will cost you 5,000 rupees or somewhere $100, $1,000, something like that. That's the second. Third is universities. Supposing you are developing something in the field of consumer electronics. So you'll have to find out which are the best universities, whether Canada or India, where research is going on consumer electronics. You land up there. You may not even get an appointment on the first time, but you'll have to go through it. And then if you start talking to them, they get interested that you have something. 3 of them may ask you to go back, but the 4th one may give you some time. Make the best use of that time. So it is very loose. There's no science in it how to go about it. But these are the knowledge sources, the publications by the institutional publishers, internet and universities and colleges, and the field, because whatever you are thought of, there will be some application. Either it's a retail product, or it's a B2B product, or it's a software service, or it's an app or something which has to be used by doctors, for example, if it is like that, then go and talk to doctors. So consumer is very important, because I repeat, 100 times, every time I speak on startup in different forums, what problem you are solving. That problem solving should not be in your mind. It should be there in the people who are going to use that app or that product or that service. So go and talk to as many of them. You can't conduct a survey like ITC does market research of 100,000 people. Your survey will be, it's called dipstick survey, 10, 20, 30, 40 people. So one of my startup companies develops products from millets. Today millets are becoming popular because it is healthy to eat millets, not rice and wheat. So then suddenly we found that there are 20 other companies who are making jawar upma and jawar dosa and all that, which are just primarily processed. You just grind it and put some additives and you get that. So this company then started developing more downstream products. Can you make a pizza based with jawar? The first answer was no. No. Atta only has this, maida only has this, jawar doesn't have it. So you cannot make pizza based with jawar. Then you question, why are you not able to make? Go to the universities, go to the researchers, talk to them. Finally, you crack the problem. Now you are able to make a base pizza from jawar. How are you going to sell it? Just because you can make it doesn't mean there is a huge market. How are you going to sell it? So go and talk to people who are into selling of consumer products. And you always have some friend. They say the two individuals in the world have only 6 nodal points. And you want to know Donald Trump, there will be only 6 points. You know somebody, who knows somebody, who knows somebody. The 6th person will know Donald Trump. But you have to approach all of them. You have to take the trouble of approaching all of them. That's the power of networking. So that's broad answer, Madan.
Okay.
But any of you want to have a one-to-one chat with me about some ideas that you have, you're most welcome. Just send me a WhatsApp message. We will fix a time and we'll share and have a discussion. I think we'll have to close now, Surya.
Due to time shortage, we are not taking any more questions, sir. Madam Christina want to say something for a few seconds. She can say. She joined.
You have to unmute her. She's muted.
Yes.
Surya, now she's on. Yeah.
Madam, you want to say something?
Yes, madam.
I just want to say thank you. You've gone into in-depth knowledge for all of us on the startup topic. I think those who don't know anything about it have got some knowledge now. And thank you so much for sparing so much of your valuable time. That's what I want to say.
Gentlemen, Christina is also a startup. Huh?
I don't know, sir.
She also has her own startup.
I am not aware. Okay. Sir, now over to Mr. Satyanarayana for vote of thanks.
Yes, Satya.
Good morning, sir. On behalf of Silvers, we are really fortunate to have the session. We are very much thankful for your time, and it is really enlightened us. Our perception of startup is different, sir. Before 11:30, now we got fair idea. It is a innovative business model. So definitely, our Silvers get into much details. They will come up with definitely new startups with your input, sir. We will continue to interact with you, and we are thankful to all the participants from entire means some people from Vietnam, some people from I think for Madan Mohan is maybe 3 o'clock is asking in Canada. Yeah. So all the participants, thanks a lot for their means valuable participation. Sir, initially we have expected only 10-15 people. Now the number has come to close to 30. So this will, I think, this kind of forums definitely helpful for the Silvers to improve their learning curve, to update the knowledge, and useful, sir. I'm thankful to you for your valuable time. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all. But keep it up, huh?
Next week we
Surya,
have.
Since you have taken the initiative, you must take the baton forward.
Yes, sir.
Tulsi Garu has already agreed to your suggestion.
Yes, sir.
So you have to keep the pipeline going.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You also should help us in giving some time in
Well,
next month.
definitely.
Yes, sir.
Definitely.
Yes, sir.
But
Thank
the one for paper industry, you should see whether we can quickly do that maybe within next 1 week, 10 days.
Yes, sir.
And you can request Sanjay to participate in that. You know?
Okay, sir. Okay.
Because
Thank
I
you.
definitely know some of these new age technologies are getting applied, you know, at Veerachalam. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
And
So,
of course, some of our silvers are operating in other paper mills, and I'm sure some good work is happening there as well. So we should be able to learn and put together what is happening in different areas. All right. Thank you very much.
thank you, sir. Big thank you.
Right.
Thank you to
Right.
all.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. I will share this recording session. Thank you all.
Right. Right.